market efficiency, financial market development. Previous year it was called sophistication here, technological readiness, and market size. Okay, those are the ones who are the most important for economies that are called efficiency driven. And the last is obviously business sophistication and innovation per se. So this is very important. Where are we situated? Last year, we were here. We're considered to be an innovation economy. Well, basically, why? Because of the GDP per capita that we manage. Now, basically what happened, is that we moved somewhere. Look, we are, instead of us being now here, last year, this year, we are in the middle of these two, basically. We made a step back. And Mr. King was quite right, although for the purposes of this study, we're considered to be in transition between efficiency and innovation. In practice, we're really here. This classification is basically based on the GDP per capita. This is the club of countries that are in transition like us. Actually, it's the smallest cluster of all. Okay, and this is our club. Barbados is there. The only issue here is that of this club, we are the ones who actually were scored at the bottom of this club, of this cluster. Top 10. Here's the top 10. Switzerland number 1, Sweden 2, Singapore 3, and United States 4, Germany 5th. Interesting enough, Sweden actually took over very, very aggressively. U.S. last year was in 2nd place. Now it moved to 4th place. But look, what is for me is interesting is that 6 out of the 10 top 10 are actually quite small countries. I will say very small countries. Okay? The top 3 are very small countries as well. So size is not a factor. I suggest and I invite just basically to stop thinking about we are a small country and we have a small market. Look, the proof. The proof is that doesn't matter. 6 out of 10 best economies, best ranked countries are quite small.
Trinidad and Tobago's competitiveness ranking compares favorably within the CARICOM region and the Western Hemisphere. For instance, in the 2009-2010 Global Competitive Index, Trinidad and Tobago ranked 16 out of 34 countries in the Western Hemisphere. Moreover, after 7 years of declining competitiveness between 2002-2003 and 2008-2009, I'm pleased to announce that Trinidad and Tobago has recently turned the corner. Specifically, our ranking improved from position 92 in 2008-2009 to 86 in 2009-2010 out of 133 countries. In fact, I understand that the 2010-2011 report being launched today, our ranking has again improved from position 86 last year to 84. While this is still not where we would like to be, it indicates that initiatives being implemented by the government are bearing fruit and that Trinidad and Tobago is truly coming to its own as the place to do business in the Western Hemisphere. I would like to assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that government has put competitiveness issues at the core of its development agenda and will continue to roll out more initiatives and strategies to ensure sustained improvements in the country's business environment. As the Honorable Winston Ducaran, Minister of Finance, stated yesterday, the key role of government is to catalyze the economy. We are emerging from an economic slowdown and once again are poised for growth. At this time, we expect a large portion of this growth to come from the non-energy sectors. And as you would have realized from the budget speech yesterday, a number of sectors have been identified as having this capacity. Realizing this potential, of course, would require that we attract greater levels of local and foreign investment, that is, we become more competitive. As you might be aware, government's overall strategy has identified 7 interconnected pillars for sustainable development, 2 of which speak directly to factors that will improve competitiveness. These pillars are Pillar 4, Information and Communication Technologies, connecting Trinidad and Tobago and building the new economy, and Pillar 5, a more diversified, knowledge-intensive economy.
The pathway to development is an interesting one. The first thing you need is an enabling environment, and in Trinidad and Tobago, we have been talking about that for years. It hasn't exactly happened the way that everybody's wanted it to. But what you need basically is an enabling environment to drive competitiveness. Now when we talk about competitiveness, what is that? We saw a textbook definition earlier, but what competitiveness really refers to is the ability of businesses in an economy, in a society, to compete, and to compete sustainably, to take a position and hold it when you're interfacing with other businesses from other trading nations on the global landscape. And so if we want to build a developed society, or a society that can provide our citizens with the kinds of benefits that we need, the first thing that we need to do is ensure that we have national competitiveness, that we have certain sectors in our economy that are competitive, that can withstand competitive pressures when we expose them to wider global economic forces. And I guess there are three broad tiers of countries in the competitiveness index. You would have a listing of the 139 or so countries that in your packs that we've assessed this year. And there are three basic types of countries. There's factor-driven countries, there's efficiency enhancer countries, and then there are innovation-driven countries. Now, factor-driven economies are the ones that are getting those basic requirements right. They have not yet dealt comprehensively with the higher order issues that we see below. So you find large parts of sub-Saharan Africa, for example, falling into that category. The exceptions on the African continent, of course, would be on the boundaries. In the north, maybe Egypt, and to the south, South Africa, and so on. So Trinidad and Tobago is no longer here. We are technically located between being an efficiency-driven economy and an innovation-driven economy. Now, what do efficiency-driven economies do? We're still factor-driven in that our main business is the export or minor processing of a commodity. And that's not oil. It's gas. So it's still a gas economy. Although what you've got now is you have some development in financial markets. We are becoming more sophisticated. There's still quite a bit of distance to go, but we are resolving a number of these issues to the extent that Trinidad and Tobago is now moving towards becoming an innovation-driven economy. But the challenge for me when I look at this is I don't think that the movement is as linear as is suggested here. And that, in fact, when we're talking about becoming an innovation-driven economy, I think if I flipped it, what I would say is that if we don't become an innovation-driven economy, we'll probably go bust. I don't think that Trinidad and Tobago is going to be in a good place if it cannot complete the transformation. And what I mean by that, put simply, is that this country is not producing enough innovations to consider itself an innovation-driven economy.